Welcome back to This Indulgent Life with me, Mary Cook, and this is episode number 26. Today on This Indulgent Life, we are speaking with Joy Collier on how to use art to process your own emotions as well as to teach your child how to process theirs. It's a really exciting interview, and I cannot wait to share it. Welcome to another episode of This Indulgent Life, where I give you tools, strategies, and encouragement to help you parent with confidence. I'm Mary, and after having my own personal revelation on what it meant to break the cycles of anger and guilt, to connect deeply and live joyfully in both my parenting and personal life, I began helping other mamas do the same. If you want to be inspired, if you want to be a more mindful parent, if you want to know what it takes to take that next step in creating your extraordinary life, then you are in the right place. So before we start, I just want to go over a little housekeeping with you again. First, remember we used to be a family travel podcast, and over time I realized that we were really talking about family itself, about parenting, about values, about creating a life you love. And so after I was coaching mommas, I realized this was the direction I really needed to take it, because there are so many of you out there who are just looking for a little guidance and a little support, and I want to be that for you. So if you are enjoying the podcast, if you like where we're going with it, please subscribe and then leave an honest rating and review, especially in iTunes, so that other people can find it. Then don't forget, we have a free Facebook group, and it's super simple. All you need to do is search for This Indulgent Life, or just go to facebook.com/groups/This Indulgent Life, all one word. And inside, for a limited time, you can find a free 5-day Calmer, More Joyful You challenge, where we talk about mindset, we talk about tools and techniques, routines, the real self-care. All of that is inside. Plus, every week I go live with more tips and tricks and encouragement, and you can find all of that inside the group. So I look forward to meeting you there. And now, let's move on to our interview. Welcome back. I'm so excited to introduce Sherry to you. She and I have gotten to know each other for almost a year now, and we were in a coaching group together, and I just loved her passion for helping others, her passion for the arts. And as a parenting coach and as a former art teacher, both of those are things that I can really get behind. Joy Collier is a licensed marriage and family therapist, expressive arts therapist, and an artist and instructor who helps creative women learn how to paint in a way that creates joy, expression, their unique personality, and decreases stress and depression. And that is why I invited her to come live in my Facebook group, and now it's going to be shared with you, because she is amazing. In this interview, you are actually going to see the process that she encourages. She uses me as an example, and we talk about how not only will this benefit you, but how you can use it to benefit your kids. So let's get started. Welcome, Sherry. I'm so excited to have you. Sherry and I have been friends since I lived in Hong Kong now. We both did a business coaching program together, and we have a love of helping people and a love of art that tied us together. And so I'm really excited to share her with you guys today. So welcome, Sherry. Thank you.
Hi, Mary. It's great to be here. It's good to see you again. Yeah, I miss seeing you in our group and having the ability to go back and forth and brainstorm and talk all the time. So it's good to see you.
So tell us a little bit about who you are, what your background is, and what you're doing now.
Okay, sure. So my background is that I have been a licensed marriage and family therapist for the past 25 years. I moved to a new state where my license is not recognized, my California license. So I kind of dove into my art more and started teaching myself how to paint with acrylics. I'm also an expressive arts therapist. That was kind of my specialty. So it was like, oh, finally, I get to dive in and do art for myself. So I've been developing my own artistic abilities, shall we say, for the past year and a half or so. And I just found that it's a blast teaching women how to paint. And it's, of course, very therapeutic and brings about a tremendous amount of just relaxation and joy and fun. And so I'm kind of all about teaching other women how to tap back into their creative self, their artistic self, and find that fun and that playfulness again.
So, are you only helping women that already paint and already kind of artistic?
I'm helping newbies too. So anybody that's kind of had this kind of little yearning inside, like, oh, I know that I'm artistic and I know I could do something, but I don't know what I could do. I went ahead and settled on acrylics for myself because I just liked them. And you have to pick something, right? You have to start somewhere in the world of art because it's so very big. And I started to get better and better with acrylics. So I'm sticking with acrylics for that reason, but also because there's something about painting that's kind of different from the other mediums in like there's mixing of colors and then there's the feeling of putting the paint on the canvas like in different textures and different ways, and there's something just really satisfying about it. So I teach women who've never painted before in their life all the way up to women who've painted and maybe are even full blown artists who hang their work in galleries, but they've not given themselves permission to use art in an expressive and fun way for their own emotional well being. So that's kind of really my focus, I would say, is kind of teaching painting in more of an expressive way for the emotional benefits and the personal development.
So, what's the difference between the two?
The difference between the two is not hugely pronounced, but I'm not teaching people um, how to become the next Van Gogh. I'm not teaching them how to paint something so realistic that you can't tell if it's a photograph. I'm teaching them to kind of tap into their own symbols, right? We all assign different meanings to different colors, different textures, different shapes, different images. So I kind of help them pull out like what are their symbols? What are their personal symbols? And then teach them how to express that on the canvas or on the page as it may be. And I say page, Mary, because this is a mixed media canvas. I mean, mixed media notepad. It has kind of thicker paper inside that you can paint on. And I find that when you get women going in this, it kind of gives them permission to be messy and to be experimental and playful and fun and not feel like I have to have it on a canvas. So it lets
Yeah.
them loosen up a little bit. And that to me, kind of that's what it's all about. I think but I'll just share briefly. I'm recovering from what we call in the field compassion fatigue, or burnout is another word that you might recognize more. And this has been extremely therapeutic for me to use that kind of on a daily or every other day basis. And I brought samples. I have Prismacolor pencils. There's these Derwent ink tense pencils that are like almost like watercolors, but they're ink. You can use water with them. So you take the pencil and draw with them, and then go back with a brush with water, and it just makes this beautiful smudgy kind of watercolor effect. And then of course my one of my favorites is chalk pastels. They're nice and messy. They make it really easy to get playful and childlike. And then of course acrylic paints. I use the craft paints that are super cheap. I don't get into these expensive professional paints yet because, like I said, we're not creating the next Van Gogh. We are making pretty paintings, but we're also expressing a deeper part of who we are, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
is the benefit to using art to express yourself?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I could probably go on and on. So I'll try to smush it down a little bit. One benefit that I want to talk about, I guess, first is kind of has more of a neuroscience component to it. And that is in our culture, well, the whole world really, at this day and age, is very much in our left hemispheres of our brain, right? Technology, math, science, it's very left brain. So we have kind of neglected the little right hemisphere a little bit. And what painting or creating art does kinesthetically, you're involving both sides of the brain, and what that does is that allows the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere to communicate back and forth better. And they found that it actually strengthens the corpus callosum, which is the structure that connects the left and right hemisphere of the brain, which lends itself to what we call in the field of psychology integration, which really means that you're taking all the different things going on in your brain from all the years past and present, and you're integrating it all into a more whole brain. So it strengthens you psychologically, it strengthens you physiologically in your brain, and then your creativity can increase. You can get better problem solving. You can just handle life better because you're actually improving the health of the brain. Isn't that cool?
Yes,
So
very.
then there's one more thing. So the other thing that I'll mention real quick is that when you use art to express yourself, you're tapping into the subconscious mind. You're letting the subconscious mind talk through the art. So it's very hard to tap into the subconscious brain through just writing or through just talking. But we find that art just cuts straight through everything and it just kind of goes right to the subconscious brain. And that's another reason why art is so powerful.
So, how do you help somebody? So, I know for me, even though I was an art teacher, um, when it comes to painting and drawing and stuff, I always revert back to having to create something literal, even though I know that's ridiculous. Um, the way that I grew up, the way I was raised, and I came into art, you guys, as an art teacher, as an adult, I kind of like came back around to it because basically I was told as a kid that I just shouldn't do it. Um,
Oh,
I know, gotta love it. If you don't draw nicely and whatnot, they're like, yeah, maybe this isn't for you. This is why I love being an art teacher because I got to kind of pull all the different kinds of arts out into my kids and show them that there's more than one way of being. But I still struggle. So ironic. I struggle with creativity, um, and really kind of letting myself go and getting to those kind of like deeper symbolic meanings and stuff. I always end up drawing the pretty trees and or the little landscape, or when I was a little girl, the dresses. Um,
yes.
so how can, because I know a lot of my mamas here, they're pretty stressed out. They've got a lot going on, and they're feeling a little run down and uncreative. So how can they pull that out of themselves?
I think probably one of the easiest ways, if you're pressed for time, is to kind of just grab something like this. It's at Walmart, it's cheap, just buy one. And then just give yourself permission. That's what it is. That's the key. It's like we almost have to permit ourselves to put our creative slash artistic self back up on the higher ranking parts of our lives, because as moms, I've been there. I know. You're in diapers, and you're dealing with sleepless nights, and you're dealing with, oh my goodness, my kid is doing what, how do I get him to stop doing that? I mean, you're dealing with so much that I would say it's even more important to say, okay, 1 hour a week. If that's all I can commit to my creativity, 1 hour a week is perfect. Or 10 minutes a day. Break it up however it works best for you, but write it on your schedule.
Mhm.
Put it in there and know that this is benefiting you in ways that you might not realize at first. It's benefiting you long term. It's kind of like if you go to the organic salad bar every day for 3 years and eat organic, beautiful, nutritious salads, you might not walk away from the salad bar every day feeling like, woohoo, I'm so energized. But over time, it builds up and you're healthier and you're stronger and you feel better. This is your organic salad bar. and
I'll
you
take that one.
and you can grab easy stuff and keep it in a little corner in your room. And I have a I'll talk more about the expressive component in a minute, but Mary, I have something I think that your mamas might enjoy. So I changed out my freebie on my website, and the first, so that's a little mini series. They get 3 emails. The first email, I show them a little video and I give them a little bit of instruction about how to set up a little tiny part of your house, or not even house, wherever you live. It's an apartment, whatever. And in the corner is tiny, and I kind of show them how to set up so that they can have their supplies kind of all in one place, so they can give themselves permission to just easily like go over there, pull it out, and begin to work with it. Then email number 2, I take them through the painting. I actually teach them how to paint an abstract, expressive flower. So it's not like, again, it's not hyperrealism. It's more loosey goosey kind of a flower that is kind of my interpretation of a flower, if you will. And then the third email kind of gives tips about how to get into a consistent art practice. So that's a freebie just on my website. Just go to sherryjoycollier.com, and the up at the top, I think you can put your email in or something like that. You can click on something and it'll get you there. But
We'll put
the
it
ex-
in the description at the end, so no worries,
oh,
guys, if you didn't catch that.
okay. And then the expressive component, Mary, because I'm an expressive arts therapist, I kind of have a really large tool chest full of tools of how to pull that out of people. So it's not something I could kind of teach super quick, but I could tell you one exercise that they could do that would start to pull out their own symbols a little bit. And that is to just grab a piece of paper that's nice and blank, grab whatever materials they're drawn to, like whatever attracts them in the moment. If they're attracted to pencils, use pencils. If they're attracted to paint, use paint. And the reason why you want to go with what you're attracted to in the moment, because that's going to help you tap into your own authentic way of expressing. Different people use different things. Um, I always remember in my sessions when we would pull out the art supplies, we offer them. Would you like this? That there's choices, and it was so funny, Mary, because they knew what they wanted, even if they'd never done it before. They would go straight for the art supply that they wanted, and
Wow.
then I might have to like teach them a few things about how to use it, like, oh, you can smudge with your fingers, like I might just give them a few tips, and then turn them loose, and I would give them a few directives. So here's a directive that you could start with, and that is you close your eyes, you kind of tune into your body, and you kind of do a scan, and you find out, okay, like, do I have a tight jaw? Do I have what's going on in my body? Like, pay attention to sensations, warmth and coolness. Um, Pay attention to heaviness or lightness. Just pay attention to your body. And then kind of ask yourself, if I could describe that, like let's just pretend, because I have this. I get tight in my neck a lot. So let's say I wanted to describe my neck tightness with a color. I would ask myself in that moment, what color describes the or shows this tightness? And I might grab like if I were to do it right now in the
Do it with
moment,
me. How's that? Why don't
I would.
we? I mean, we're not going to do the actual drawing part, but maybe use me as an
Okay.
example. So
Okay,
let's,
Mary.
so everyone can kind of feel it for themselves.
Sure. Okay, so Mary, close your eyes and just start at the top of your head and slowly scan all the way down into your body, down into your legs, down into your toes. And as you're doing that scan, you may have to do it a little bit more slowly than what I'm kind of doing here. You just kind of want to find areas that are warm, cool, tight. Maybe there's a sensation going on. Just anything that you notice in your physical body, and just which one kind of seems to call out to you, like, pay attention to me. Is there anything that kind of calls out to you right now?
I think there's three main things for me. So one is, and it's only when I kind of went back and rescanned, there's this like feeling of, I don't know, energy or something, this
Okay.
pulsation going from like here to here. And it's not a pain, but
Okay.
it you can feel it.
Okay,
And
let's
like
start with that one. Let's start
okay.
with that one. So just as you focus in on that again, just kind of breathe into that. What color comes to mind? Or colors? It can be plural, it can be one color. What color just pops into your head about this pulsating or energy?
Hmm. So initially I had an image, not a
Mm-hmm.
color.
Okay, what's your image?
Like a kind of like a geyser, like it just like shoots up like water, right?
Okay, all right, good.
So I guess
And
like
does the geyser have a color to it at all, or is it clear, or is it just kind of
kind of
vague?
white, I guess. Yeah, like
Okay, kind of white. And then does the geyser kind of tell you anything? Does it give you any message about what's going on with it?
I don't know. Is there another way you can ask that?
Describe the geyser and kind of what it feels like it's doing right here. You said it's right here, right? And
Yeah,
it's
like right.
okay, right here. And is it gushing? Describe it. Use some descriptive words again.
Okay. Let me tap back into it. Kind of like a pulsation, like a whoosh, a
A
whoosh,
whoosh. And is
whoosh.
it rhythmic?
Yeah, like it's
Okay, whoosh.
very, yeah, it's got a beat to it.
Okay. And does it feel like it taps into your heartbeat physically, or is it more of a psychological pulsating rhythm going on?
I guess it does kind of tap into my heart, and then I can also feel it in my ears.
Okay. And does it feel neutral? Does it feel pleasant? Does it feel unpleasant? If it could talk, what would it say?
Hmm. I'd I'd say it's fairly neutral.
Mm-hmm.
So the ear piece is a little weird, a little annoying, because it
Yeah.
kind of like
Okay.
feels like my ears are going like this.
Okay.
And if it could talk, what would it be saying?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I don't know.
The whooshing,
Yeah, just I
the
hear
push,
whoosh,
whoosh,
whoosh.
whoosh. And is
Yeah.
it saying anything? And I'm going to throw ideas out here just to get the juices flowing. Is it saying anything like, pay attention to me? Or is it saying, I'm kind of cleansing something out? Or is there another message that resonates better with it?
I don't know, more like energy.
Energy. Okay,
Yeah.
energy. Describe the energy.
like, I don't know, maybe like a wake up, like be active, do, like you're thinking and information's flowing and that kind of feeling.
Ah, okay. So now you're using other words that describe. So flowing, information's flowing. Um, you said that the energy is kind of, I think you used the word awake, kind
Yeah.
of. Did you use that word awake? Okay, so now as you think of those words, do any other colors come to mind with that energy, that awake, that ideas flowing kind of energy? Does that have a
Maybe like a yellow and a blue.
Okay. Okay. So just keep that in your mind, that
Okay.
yellow and that blue. And then what we would do next, Mary, is I would have you get out your handy dandy piece of paper and I would have you choose. And I'm going to hold these up. Which
Okay.
would you prefer? Like, if you could, I know you can't reach through the screen, but if you could, would you prefer to use chalk pastels to draw the representation of the blue and the yellow? Or would you prefer like pencils, ink, or just regular? Or would you prefer crayons or paint? Or something
Um,
else.
Knowing the materials because I do know them. I would probably go with watercolor crayons or
Okay.
a paint,
Okay. So
like a
now what
like
you're
an
going to do,
acrylic or something with a little bit of thickness to it,
something with some thickness to it. Okay.
but
So then
can be watered out. Yeah,
would
thinned
you
out,
prefer to have your page turned this way or this way?
vertical.
This way. Okay. So we'll pretend, right? And so what you would do is you would draw that with your watercolor crayons any way that you want. I mean, this is just for you. This is very private. This is your journal. This is not going to be on a gallery wall. So you have all the permission you need to just go crazy with the yellow and the blue and just see what bubbles up onto the page. And then kind of step back from it a little bit and kind of ask yourself, does that kind of describe this energy? Yeah, you know what? That kind of looks like the way that it's flowing, and it kind of looks like the colors match up, and then we can take it a step further. You know, if we're doing a one-on-one expressive arts therapy session, we would take it a step further, and we would kind of go back into childhood, and we would ask, have you ever had a similar feeling before? And sometimes doing that, we don't always do that, but sometimes doing that can just bring even more insights into that piece that's emerging right now. So there's something emerging for you that's energy, and it's flowing, and it's awake, and it's got a rhythm to it, and it does seem like there might be a little bit of connection with your heart, which is super
Yeah.
interesting to me because I know you, and I know that your heart is very in all that you do. You know, you really want to help mommies be better parents and cut off the shame and cut off the, the ick and the stuff that they don't want to take forward with them. So that's a very heart-based work that you're doing. So that's just an interesting component to me that you did talk a little bit about the heart. So we would talk more about that and tap into that. But as far as drawing goes and or painting goes, that can actually be what we just did, can actually be a jumping off point for what I call an expressive painting. I'm calling it expressive because it's expressing something that's going on with you. And it's very real, and it's very authentic, and it's very in the moment. And tomorrow we might try to tap into it and it's gone. You know what I mean? In terms of
Yeah,
like it might be different colors. It might not be what'd you call it? A
geyser.
geyser?
Yeah,
Geyser. I always get that mixed up. There's geezer.
a geyser.
That's terrible. Anyway, geyser. It might be something different. You know, tomorrow you might describe it as a fountain, or tomorrow, if you're having a really crappy day, it might be like, oh, it's a stagnant pond. It's gonna change from
Swamp.
day to day. So it's just a nice way to kind of give yourself a jumping off point to do a more expressive work, and it really is all about giving yourself permission that it doesn't have to look like anything. It doesn't even have to look like what we just described. I mean, if you just want to make like fireworks on the page with yellow and blue, that's fine, because that's what bubbled up out of you in the moment, naturally.
I love and I was going to ask you, like, what could you do and, take from that? Like, because I know for most of us, we'll be like, okay, great, now what? And I love how you then tied it back into, um, okay, when else have you felt this way? Because the thought I had immediately for my mamas was our triggers. So this could be a really amazing tool when you are feeling just so triggered and angry and you don't even know why you're so overwhelmed and whatnot. Maybe you can take a step away and go do this, even if it is just that very first and second part of analyzing your body and how it's feeling and what that looks like to you. Even if you don't have time for the art side of it, that could yield so many amazing insights
Yeah.
to help you overcome those triggers.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And the piece that we also didn't cover is, here's another way that you can approach this too. If you are having a really bad day, things are going wrong, your kids are crying, and you're just stressed. You can kind of, while they're taking a nap or whatever, you can kind of run over to your little art corner and you can dump your feelings out onto the page however you can. And I wish I had brought it, because I have some pretty gnarly stuff. Like, it's not in this one, but in my other one, I have pictures of my own stress, my own trigger points. Um, it might be that I'm drawing despair, or I'm drawing stress, or I'm drawing anger, or I'm drawing something. I'm putting it out on. The paper is acting as a container for the negative emotion, and once you get it from in here out here, you can get more insights about it. And then you can say to yourself, okay, wow, I just had a reaction to my kid that was so over the top. I have to look into this. And you kind of draw out the colors are red and black, and I don't know what they would be, but and then you're asking yourself, what is this feeling like? It's deeper than anger, because anger is a top layer emotion. So what's underneath? It's fear. Oh, that's what it is. Or it's hurt. Oh, that's what it is. And you kind of dig a little deeper, and you allow yourself to look into that. And then you can ask yourself, oh, when did I feel that? Maybe in my youth, or my little years, even. Like, if you can remember as far back to 3 or 4 or something like that, you try to go all the way back to the root, like as far back as you can remember. When did you first feel that same feeling bubbling up? And then you can do a little bit of writing or journaling about that. And then I never leave people there, though. Then we always turn our attention to, okay, so now that we know what's been lurking and like bubbling up, now let's purposefully shift that. And now we're going to say, okay, let's pretend that anger and hurt and everything was right here. Let's say it was all kind of in my chest, and I did red and black all over the page. And then I would kind of turn the page, and I would kind of ask myself, okay, what did that part of me need? What did that part that was so hurt and so fearful back there, what did it need? Well, it needed somebody to say, oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Let me hold your hand, or something like that. Just whatever it is that you needed, you can kind of go back and reparent yourself in a good way, in a healthy way. And then, what colors would you like to share with your younger self? Beautiful colors. Like, would you, and let's share beautiful words with them. So instead of fear and anger, it could maybe be love, peace, glory. I don't know. Pick
Acceptance.
good, huh?
Acceptance.
Acceptance. Pick some words, right? And then assign colors to those words. So if that's and I always, this always is what comes up for me when I do my shifting. It could be different for other people. I always kind of see like love and acceptance coming down from the heavens, like "Wah!" And I see it like as a bright, beautiful yellow with a little bit of like orange. You know, I like to smudge it with the pastels and get like this like a sunshine burst or something that kind of
Yeah.
flows down, and it flows into my heart. So on the page I might literally paint a heart or draw a heart, and then have that sunshine burst coming down saying love, acceptance, and I might even write those words on the page. And then what you just did is you shifted yourself from that place in the brain of, like, let's say you were 5 or 10, or something back there when you first felt that anger and fear and hurt. You've shifted yourself to a completely new place in your brain now by doing the yellow and the red for the heart and the glory cloud. All of that, you have shifted your brain, you've shifted your energy level, and now you can operate from that. So you can go back into your situation with your kid or whoever, could be a spouse, could be
Yeah.
a partner, whatever, could be a parent, even your own parent.
Mhm.
And then you can go back in and you can picture yourself operating from that new picture, the new colors, the love and the acceptance and the whatever other words we used.
And give them exactly what you needed. So now you
Yeah.
realize what you really needed, and that's probably what they're needing in this situation, and you can now give that. I love that. That right there is everything. And and not only that, so it's great for you, but it's really, really good to then model that technique to your kids, because one of the things that parents have in their toolbox, especially with little kids who are still learning their vocabulary and don't quite understand what's going on, or heck, even teenagers, because let's be real, they don't know what's going on.
Right, right.
But then you can be like, okay, maybe is this how you're feeling? And then do that angry kind of color, and they can say yes or no, or maybe they'll start taking the tools and making their
Yeah.
own picture, or ripping up the page and showing you that's how they
Mhm.
feel. And
Yeah.
that is a really great way to
Mhm.
introduce it to your own children so they can
Yeah.
start communicating their feelings to you.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Kids are naturals.
Yeah.
You don't have to teach your kid how to do that. I have to teach the parent how to do this. I don't have to teach the kid. You hand the kid some art supplies and some paper, and I'm like, draw your anger. And they're like, oh yeah. And they just go to town. And they just instinctively know, because they're more tuned into their bodies, usually. Not always. There are some other situations where kids might prefer to use pens, like ink, like
Yeah.
of just one color, or a pencil, and that would indicate that there might be a diagnosis that's going on, that they prefer to be in control and they don't want to use this. So if your child needs pencil or pen, let them. Just let them use pencil or pen. Don't force art supplies on them.
Mm-hmm.
Present them with choices and just let them pick, and then let them play with it, let them explore, and then tell them, hey, so if you were to draw a picture of what it feels like when you're mad, what would it look like? And they'll just naturally like go to town.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually. Yeah.
I mean, they have to be in a mood too. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
they're completely shut down, sometimes that's why it's, especially the little ones, it can be helpful for you to start the process.
Yes.
If
Yes.
if you're able to be in that calm moment with them, it
Yeah.
can really help bring that out. So I
Yeah.
love this. I
Yeah.
really think
Good.
if my mamas get to see this, they are going to just grab on tight and hopefully share it with their families.
Yeah, I hope so. The more people that can get involved in using art, both for healing and for pleasure, just for pleasure too, I think the better off we'll all be.
Well, and I mean, you just shared that article, yesterday, I believe, in Cure magazine, about the
Today.
cancer patients. Oh,
Yeah.
today. Do you
today.
want
Yeah.
to reiterate what that said?
Pardon?
Can you reiterate what that article said?
Oh, yes. Okay. So, I'm trying to remember how they encapsulated it. So basically, when you have cancer, my husband has cancer right now. This is why we're talking about this. Mary knows that, but I just wanted to let you guys know that. So my husband's going through chemo, and this article in the office today was talking about when you have cancer, your immune system is activated against the cancer cells, which causes inflammation, and it's systemic. The inflammation is systemic, meaning it's not just in one spot, it's everywhere. Well, guess what? When your brain gets inflamed, you will experience anything from anxiety, depression, brain fog, you name it. It can bring out mood problems, mood challenges because of the inflammation. Well, of course, there's many things we can do to treat inflammation, both with Western medicine and with holistic medicine. But the thing that the article was pointing out, that there's research that bears out that art therapy, along with yoga, and they listed a few other things. It's
Exercise and things like
in my
yeah.
picture that I took of the thing. Um, but the art therapy is one of them that has been shown to help reduce the um, the emotional components, the depressive components, the anxious components that can go hand in hand with that inflammatory response to the cancer.
And when I read that, I I mean I knew it was geared towards cancer because that's where it was in the office and whatnot. But there are so many. I mean, when you're ill, right? When you have a really bad cold, or
Yeah,
if you have chronic illness,
yeah,
or I mean, I have asthma. These kinds of things, they really take a toll on your body in a very
yeah,
similar way and cause inflammation.
yes.
And when I saw that, I was like, well, that's not just for cancer. That's
Mm-hmm.
for any issue that you might be having. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I really wanted to bring it up, because we may not be dealing with cancer right now, but we may be dealing with other health issues. I know there are some of my mamas that are.
Yeah.
So that might be a really great way for them when they are having their inflammatory responses, which are causing depression and anxiety, they can get that out.
Yes, yes. And you're so right, Mary. It's not just cancer by any stretch of the imagination. It's pretty much any any illness, any stressor on the body, that creates that inflammatory cascade. I have asthma too, so I hear you, totally get you. And the other thing that I was going to mention was even certain foods. I discovered, and it's a real bummer. I discovered that I'm sensitive to dairy, and I'm sensitive to wheat. I don't have an allergic reaction like anaphylactic shock, but I will get a runny nose, and I'll get kind of itchy eyes, and I'll get just I just feel ick. But it doesn't happen. It doesn't kick in till like a day after I've eaten it. So it was really hard to pinpoint that that was what was. But what happens when you eat a food that you're sensitive to is anywhere from a day to 3 days later, it can show up in the form of depression, anxiety, or any of those things. Well, guess why? It's because your brain's inflamed because it's reacting to the food that you ate that you're sensitive to. So yeah, it's for all things. But I think that if we tap into tools like this on a regular basis, it can kind of impact all potential illness. I'll never forget, I was listening to a doctor, Dr. Bergman, the other night, and he was talking about one of the worst things that you can do for your immune system is live in fear. And that's because the fear is going to make that inflammatory cascade just worse. So
Wow.
whatever you can do, and of course he was promoting breathing techniques, which are awesome. He was promoting exercise. He was promoting just really focus, taking your thoughts and trying to really focus on the here and now and what was going on that was positive and what was good and stuff like that. But I think you could really accomplish it like times two or times three by combining it with just a little bit of art, just a little bit of expressive with colors, or it doesn't have to be colors. You can even express with clay, or express with, oh, what's that other stuff that you can get in the little colorful sticks? It's clay, but it's called something different.
Like
Um,
plastilina or modeling
say that.
plasticine
Yes. Yeah.
and plasticine or plastilina, depending on where you are in the world.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. So you can just grab that and start working with it. It's very kinesthetic and it's very
Yeah.
fun to sculpt and make stuff with. That can be just as healing as painting or drawing.
And I personally love needle felting. I don't know if you've ever
Ah,
needle felted, but that
I
whole
haven't, but I've
stabbing
seen
motion
it.
is
Go for
very therapeutic. I love just stab, and then you get something beautiful out of the stabbing. I mean, where else can
I
you find
know. It
something?
looks like fun, and the things they make with that is amazing. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness. I've seen some. I actually went and bought, I went to a fair somewhere, and there was a lady who did needle felting, and she was selling the supplies. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I bought up all these supplies. And then I was a mom at the time. I mean, I'm still a mom, but I mean a mom of young kids at the time. Well, guess what? I never did get those supplies out. And when we moved, I finally gave them away. But I wish I'd kept them because you're right, the stabbing and the just the beautiful things that can come from it. That's what a beautiful metaphor.
so that's another one for you guys. Maybe that's something for after the toddler goes to bed, though, because those things are sharp.
Yes, yes.
You do have there's a wet felting as well that you can do if that's really
Oh,
like that fiber feel. And I know
uh-huh.
there's many of my mamas that are really into knitting and crocheting. There's
Yeah.
all sorts of ways that you can kind of get that creativity out for sure.
Oh, yeah. Very many ways. Yeah. Hmm.
So, is there anything else that you think we should really know in regards to using art to help us with depression and being calm and accessing our triggers and reparenting ourselves? I mean, we've already done so much, but is there anything else that you'd like to share?
I think I would just kind of wrap it all in a package of the key is really just giving yourself permission to play. Just give yourself permission to play. Don't feel like you have to be all perfect at art or know anything about art. Just give yourself permission to tap into that childlike ability to play with the materials and enjoy them. And then if you can tap into that childlike part of yourself, you're going to be able to tune into your actual child so much better, because you'll be tuned into your own child. And I just feel like that's the golden reason why to do this. Why to engage in creative pursuits as a mama, because it's going to pull out the childlike playfulness in yourself, which is so key to being a good parent. It really, really is. Kids remember, you know, they remember things like, oh, I remember that time when my mom was making cookies and the flour exploded when she opened the bag all over the floor. And instead of getting mad, she started laughing and we started drawing pictures on the floor and the flour. Like kids remember that stuff with warm, wonderful feelings. So if we can kind of let that childlikeness come up in a very intentional way and be a part of every day, we're going to be better parents.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's one of my pillars is to have those kinds of experiences. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
for sure. All right, so I know you have a program that you're opening up in a few days for the mamas that are um, really digging this. Can you tell them about it and where
Sure.
to find it?
Sure. So the program that it's a course slash program, because there's going to be a group connected with it. Um, it's called Painting with Purpose. So it will be acrylic painting. And it will be teaching the fundamentals, the basics, like brushes, like what supplies to get, how to start out cheap, right? We're not going to go for the professional acrylic paints at the beginning. And then it'll kind of go into brush strokes and paint mixing. And then they'll actually complete 3 canvas paintings. One will be expressive, so it'll be tuning into themselves and painting that. And then the other 2 will be an actual scene, like a beach scene and a floral scene that they could actually hang on their wall or give as a gift or sell even. Um, but that's called Painting with Purpose, and it is an 8 week program. And I tell people you can do it in 1 hour a week. So the tutorial videos are broken down into little 10-minute segments, and there's like a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them per week. So if you just wanted to crunch them all into 1 hour, you could. So it's doable. That's Painting with Purpose, and that is available. I'll have to send you a link because it's sherryjoycollier.com /painting with purpose. So
We'll put all of this in the description.
I'll
Yeah.
have to send a link to that. So that's that one. But if they want something more one-on-one, like an actual Zoom talk where we go over their own whatever they want to explore for themselves artistically or expressively, I'm available to do that as well. So they could just contact me through my website, or just put a comment here, or message me through Facebook, or any way that they wanted to do that, and I would get them whatever information they wanted.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. That took such an impressive turn. And really, really excited with how this went. Mamas, I really hope you've enjoyed this. My very first guest in the group. Do a shout out to Sherry and say thank you to her as well. And go to, you have a group, right? You do, I believe?
I do. I have a business page on Facebook.
Okay.
It's just Sherry Joy Collier.
Okay.
And then the group is called Creative Women Who Thrive.
All right. So, and we'll link all of that in the description once Sherry gets that to me. And you can go and visit her. So thank you so much, Sherry. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mary. It was fun. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast. If you enjoyed this, please make sure you subscribe and leave a rating and review, especially in iTunes. That would really help. And remember, we have a Facebook group for moms of littles at facebook.com/groups/thisindulgentlife, where you, for right now, can get that free 5-day Calmer, More Joyful You challenge, as well as all of the lives that I do weekly, as well as all of the tips and tricks that I give and post weekly, and the fun that we have. So come and join us. I really want it to be a place of encouragement, of learning, and honestly a place to kind of de-stress. So I cannot wait to see you there. And remember, you can find all of the show notes at thisindulgentlife.com/26. Until next week, I hope you have an inspired week, and remember to take some time for yourself.